Hey YouTube, it's been a hot minute since I posted, and I keep thinking it's been like a long time, and then I like post something and I look at when my last post was, and it was only a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, really, AJ? Why can't you remember these things? Oh, it's been a very interesting couple weeks. I know it's been a couple weeks since I posted. Um, I may have told you I quit my job. My boss was a narcissist fucker, and I'm in a much better place without him. Yeah, we got into it a little bit. This is fun. I will go into this just briefly. Picture this. Picture me, right? My boss walks up to me and he says, this isn't a popularity contest. And I'm like, what? He's like, everybody likes you, okay? You don't need to be liked. People don't need to like you. And then he changed my job from being working with engineers and working with people on the floor to sit behind the desk and you work on all this documentation. I'm like, what? Yep, that's what I want you to do. The other guy is going to be the one that's interacting with everybody else. That's what you do. And I just sat there like, why are you disconnecting me from my coworkers? Oh, you're jealous because people like me. I'm kind of likable. So that really and then I made a decision. I made a good decision. And it was not what he wanted. And he called me on the phone and he's like, leaving all these messages. And I just sat there and I'm like, why do I tolerate this? I shouldn't have to tolerate this. So I set my phone down, put my badge down, and walked out the door. Truth. I didn't have to tolerate it. So since then, I've been interviewing, and I'm fairly decent at interviewing. I have good first impressions. But the fun part was, I go on LinkedIn and I say, I'm looking for a job. 2 seconds later, bink, up comes somebody that I worked with 17 years ago who said, hi, expect the director of human resources for the corporation that I'm the vice president of operations for, and board member, by the way, to contact you. So she did. And yeah, it took almost a month from when we started talking to when I got the job offer letter. In the meantime, I interviewed Columbus, Ohio is where I'm going to be living now. Yay. We'll get into what's going on with me with Lexington. And it's not bad, but I'm having a lot of freak out moments with it. Columbus, Ohio, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, Berea, another company in Berea, Kentucky. I was down in a place called Ridgeville, South Carolina, Charleston area basically. And I went down for the weekend, and I had this really cool mini vacation, and it was a lot of fun. And I met a really great guy named Mark there, and his friend Larry. Larry's got a husband. And I really just sat there I want this to work. And then I started talking to people in South Carolina. I'm wandering, but you'll understand. And I started talking to people down there. And it was everybody's like, oh, you're going to come here? Can we be friends? And I'm like, yeah, we can be friends. And I had all these people reaching out to me to be friends. And I'm like, this is really cool. They're very friendly. Yeah. They're very cliquey from what I'm gathering as I was continuing conversations. And all these people had no friends. And they were looking for a friend. Just one. They just needed one. And I sat there oh, am I going to be able to handle this? Because that's a lot, I'm going to walk into a society that's based off of people are just lonely and independent individuals trying to make connections. And you get on Grindr, and every one of them is looking for friends. Everyone. And it just was what? And titles on them were, I'm looking for friends. And I sat there this is the loneliest place I've ever seen. No, I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying, this culture that I was seeing, and is it universal? I don't know. But what I saw was a discordant group of people all calling for the same thing. and none of them being able to reach out to each other. And I'm like, I could be a catalyst. I could be like, the guy that comes in, and I had all these thoughts going through my head, and I'm like, but I would have to live here, and I would have to like work hard at this to try to see if I could get people to do what I know they should be doing. And I'm like, do I really want to do that? So the short and sweet of all this is I made a really good friend. I love Mark. Mark is an amazing guy. As I'm sitting there, how am I going to make friends? I'm like, dude, stop being stupid. You've made 2. And there was another guy that was interested in talking to me. And there was another guy who I think was actually just trying to get my pants. And, we're going to have that no matter where we go. Not that guys want to get in my pants, but just that's the dynamics of gay relationships. So that wound up Thursday, me telling my recruiter, hey, I have a job offer. And he said, just wait. And I'd already signed it. I just wanted to see what they'd have to say. And I never heard from them. So I'm good. But yeah, so I'm talking to all these different companies, and finally I get a call from the company I'm going with, and they said, we are so sorry this has taken so long, but we had a lot of issues happening at the plant level that have all been resolved. So you're going to be reporting to somebody else. And I'm like, holy shit. So I'm going to be reporting to the guy that contacted me originally, the vice president, who's on the board of directors for this corporation. It's a multinational corporation, and I'm just like, somebody that remembered me from 17 years ago and remembered how I worked and how I interacted with people, made a recommendation that this corporation just said, fine, cool, him. And I sat there like, I have to do really good at this job. So that all worked out really well. I'm going to be living in the southeast quadrant of Columbus, but also the county Columbus is in. And at some point I will have memorized all this stuff. But yeah, 20 minutes to downtown, 6 minutes from my apartment to the plant, so I could go home for lunch and take care of Wolfie. My apartment is a townhouse, 2-story and 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. I have my own laundry room, so I have to get laundry equipment for it though. So I'm gonna have to work on that. That's easy. I want to get a dining room table, big one, and chairs, because I'm talking to people in Columbus, and there's right now 3 guys. Oh, the one's a hottie, and a couple, and they live in the next town over. And I'm sitting there talking about, when I lived in Detroit, Wyandotte, Michigan. No, actually, when I lived in Taylor, Tucky, in Michigan. You had Tucky at the end of any town to represent where the people are located that moved there. A lot of people from Kentucky moved up to Detroit during the big auto boom. So Taylor, Tucky, my friends were living in Wyandotte, and we would go over to his house, and we would cook. And I was generally the guy that did most of the cooking. I'd buy up all the food that we needed, and I'd tell people, just bring whatever else as side dishes you want. And I would make lasagna, stuff like that. And then I would make the food, and we would all sit around and talk, maybe drink, maybe munch on things, and just just be in the moment and just have a good time as a group. And there was no couples in this group. And we had one lady who was straight, who I rescued. So I'm a rescuer. Okay, this will explain everything. Her name was Jessica. I loved her. I love her. I haven't seen her in decades, but we were at the bar. We're at Cobalt in Ferndale, Michigan, back when it was Cobalt. And I'm sitting there with, I think it was Jesse, and we're talking, and this lady and this guy is talking to her rather aggressively, and she looks very upset, and I'm like, hold on one second, Jesse. And I walk over and I'm like, hi, what's going on here? I says, is this guy bothering you? And she goes, yes. And the guy says, hey, wait a minute, I really like her, blah, blah, blah. I said, you're in a gay bar. And he goes, I'm bi. I'm like, okay, so she said she's not interested. You have 2 options. One involves me, and the other one involves you. And if it's you, you walk away. If it's me, you're gonna limp away. And obviously. I don't fight. I'm not aggressive. But I put on a really good front, apparently. Scared the shit out of the guy. He apologized to her and fled. It was great. So anyway, she was part of our group. So we'd sit there and we'd just like play board games. And this was back in the days of Queer as Folk coming out on every Sunday. And so we would watch Queer as Folk right after we ate. And it was always a good time. And I'm just explaining this to this little group of people. And they're all like, that sounds like so much fun. I'm like, yes. Sunday afternoon, you were like dreading having to go into work the next day. So why don't you make it fun? And that is my plan. So walking into Columbus, Ohio, my goal in life is to find a group of people, and it can morph. I don't know. I don't care. I just want a group of people that get together. Like, I don't know, it has to be every Sunday, but Sunday would be really cool. And we just, make food and talk about the week, and maybe play board games, play Uno. I don't care, as long as we're just all interacting and having a good time. And that was, that's what I should have done here. But my apartment is my new apartment is bigger than the first floor is bigger than this place, and the second floor is the same size. So I'm doubling space for the same money. So, and then my taxes are going to go down because Lexington or Kentucky's taxes are high. My insurance will go down because Kentucky's insurance is high. And I sat there like, this is kind of a win-win. My income's not going to be higher, which for a second there, was like, maybe I should negotiate this. And then I'm like, wait a minute. You're going to live in a city with the pride in Columbus, Ohio. Last year was 700,000 people. It was bigger than Chicago. So I'm like, there's not a negative that I'm seeing so far. The town that I'm moving to is right next to the international airport. And I'm like, ew. But it was voted one of the best Midwestern small cities in the country, or in the Midwest. And I'm like, oh, that is okay. Checking out the local restaurant scene, it doesn't look like it's all that great, but guess what? 20 minutes to downtown. I don't care. I will survive. And from my apartment to the Kroger, it's across the street and over maybe an eighth of a mile. So, not looking bad. Short commute to work, decent commute into town to do what I want to do on weekends, which is, try to participate in the community. So we're going to go into the next part of all of this, which is last night was my last night going out and trying to hang out with my friends here in Lexington. My friend Devin came with me, and because he's now working weekdays, and I'm really upset because it went from I get to see you on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday to we could do all kinds of stuff on the weekends, and I'm moving. So that sucks. But I showed him around. He's already been to all these places. Ish. I don't think he's ever been to Bar Complex. But he'd been to the crossings. And he knew people there. He knew more people than I did. So I was pretty impressed with Devin. And yeah, it was a weird night. I really should have took a nap. And Devin called me in the middle of my nap. I'm like, damn it, Devin. And then I couldn't get back to sleep. So we go out, waiting for things to happen, and they were going to do a stripper night at Crossings, and I'm like, I don't know. My friend showed up after I left. Go figure. My friend JB was there. I got to see him, and the guy that does, I'm trying to remember his name, that usually does the cash box when you first walk in. We got to talk for a hot second. Nice guy. I see him on Grindr all the time, and we're friends on Facebook, and I think on Instagram, but I got to see him at least, and I didn't get to see Jeremy, Austin, or Ryan, and that upsets me because I had hoped to say goodbye. So I'm going to try to do something this week. I'm not sure. It's up to them as far as, and I have this deep-seated fear. I'm going to say, hey guys, you want to hang out? And they're going to be all like, oh, we're way too busy to do that. And I'm going to feel like that's you don't matter enough to me. So I'm not proposing anything. And you might say, AJ, you're very confident and you seem to have your shit together. And it's like, in a lot of ways, I am infinitely confident, but in a lot of ways, the hurt little child inside of me manifests himself strangely. And so I just when he says things, I stop and I go, okay, I'm not putting you in a position where you get proven right. I don't know that would happen, but I'm not going to put you in that position because I don't need that. And it's not like I'm moving a billion miles away. It's 2 hours. No, it's 3 hours. And they have, like I said, the biggest pride. This is funny. I was on Instagram, and I have deleted a whole bunch of people because they had one picture or no pictures, or I don't want to say they were small, but they just weren't people that I thought were real. We're going to go with that because that's probably the best way to put it. So I got rid of all these people, and somebody popped up. His storyline popped up, and I'm like, oh, who's this? Oh, he's kind of cute. And I hit messages because I wanted to see if we'd ever talked, and we had. And we talked about a year ago when I thought I was moving to Columbus. And he was interested in more than just being friends. And I sat there like, holy shit, hi. And then we started talking, and he's a nice guy. Actually, I have his phone number. We've been texting, and we've been exchanging information. And Sunday, not today, but next week, or this upcoming week, Sunday, actually be next week, Sunday, we're going to meet. We're going to have dinner. I'll be in my new apartment. I'm a little afraid. Not of him. Not of meeting him, and whatever happens. It's irrelevant. I'm just afraid I'm going to be it's going to be like one of those things where, in Wisconsin, when I just put my foot down into the bar and met my ex-husband. And why would I be afraid? Well, there was a lot of what-ifs with Don. And I don't want there to be a lot of what-ifs in this relationship if it turns into one. So I have a lot of thinking to do, and yeah, that's a lot of processing. And I'm not worried about it in the normal context, because what happens if I walk in and he's the guy? Nothing. I just go with it. And we're going to date for quite a while before I say, okay, we're exclusive. Because I need to make sure I got the right guy. So that's where I'm at. This week's going to be fun. I've been posting a lot on Instagram. Twitter, for some reason, is not working right, and I'm just okay with that. But yeah, it's not a struggle. It's an adventure. I love you guys. I love you, dude.